Hello and welcome. Tonight, police confirm arrest of suspended Adamawa State resident electoral commissioner Hudu Yunusa Ari, even as he insists he does not regret announcing Aisha Binani as winner of the Adamawa governorship election. Ahead of Senator Ike Ekweremadu's sentencing in the United Kingdom over organ harvesting charges, Nigeria's House of Representatives and the ECOWAS Parliament appealed to the British government to temper justice with mercy. Confusion in Abia State House of Assembly as 18 members purportedly impeach Speaker Chinedum Orji, while the House leadership suspend Deputy Speaker and others involved.
On business news tonight, Director General of the President, Muhammadu Buhari, approves partial exclusion of Ministry of Finance Incorporated from the country's Treasury single account.
And on sports news tonight, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, projects 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup to generate 220
Nation says more than 100,000 people have fled Sudan since heavy fighting broke out between rival forces on the
over the Adamawa governorship poll. And the Nigeria police has arrested the suspended resident electoral commissioner of Adamawa State, Mr. Hudu Yunusa Ari. The Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Olumuyiwa Adejobi, who confirmed this in a statement, says Mr. Yunusa Ari was arrested by the police election planning, monitoring and evaluation team in Abuja earlier today and is in police custody. It further reveals that the embattled wreck is being grilled to ascertain the motives and motivations behind his alleged improper actions during the supplementary elections in Adamawa State, adding that other officials and individuals culpable in the saga are also being interrogated by the team. Well, Mr. Yunusa Ari announced the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Mrs. Aisha Binani, winner of the Adamawa governorship poll, while collation of results for the supplementary election was yet to be concluded, an action which INEC had condemned and described as a nullity. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Usman Alkali Baba, has assured citizens that every individual indicted in the matter will be apprehended and investigated in line with the provisions of the law for possible prosecution. Now, before his arrest, the suspended resident electoral commissioner had explained he had no regrets for announcing Aisha Binani Dahiru of the All Progressives Congress as winner in this year's governorship election in the state. Now, speaking in an interview with the BBC Hausa, Mr. Hudu Yunusa Ari maintained that he acted in accordance with relevant laws in declaring the APC candidate as the governor-elect of the state before the declaration was overturned by the electoral umpire, that's the Independent National Electoral Commission, at its headquarters in Abuja.
Ni ka gani kamar da na faɗa ka karɓi kuɗi ta kowane hali don ka taimaki wani kai wani abu haramun ne, kuma ni wallahi wannan kuɗi zargi ne kawai da ba shi da tasiri, bai da tasiri ko kaɗan. Biliyan biyu na zan kai ta, ni ma kana gani a social media ana cewa an bani biliyan biyu har yana cewa zan naka ci abinka baba. In so ina karɓi biliyan biyu malam Ibrahim ya zan da ita, ai Allah ba zai barka ba. Da na zo na karanta maka, amma dai tsakanin su da ita ta sayi ƙuri'a da wani zaben da ake da wannan ta samu ƙuri'a 428,173, shi kuma Finto ya samu 422,303. To da ka yi yanzu wannan hukunci da ka yi ba da ka yi ne da ka, ni na gaya maka ai ba na dama, ai abin da za ka yi shi bisa doka da tsari ba za ka yi da masa ba, kuma doka ce ta sa aka ayyana, kuma doka ce za ta warware. INEC da kake faɗa na kai takarda an ci ba karba ba, muku nasa an karba.
Ahead of the sentencing of Senator Ike Ekweremadu in the United Kingdom, the House of Representatives is appealing to the UK government to temper justice with mercy. Well, Honourable Toby Ukechukwu, who moved the motion, based his position on the long-standing history and cordial ties between Nigeria and the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, the House is calling for the halt of the planned concession of the Ajaokuta Steel Company by the federal government, while questioning the essence of such action just few days to the end of the present administration. Our correspondent, Terry Kumi, reports.
Lawmakers in the House of Representatives resumed plenary after 4 weeks of recess. The Speaker commences plenary by lending his voice to the plight of Nigerian students being evacuated from crisis-torn Sudan.
Whilst our priority is to ensure the welfare and well-being of our fellow citizens caught in this war, we must further revisit the statutory and other frameworks that have left us seemingly unprepared to respond promptly and effectively.
Following publications in national dailies on the proposed concession of 2 national assets, an urgent motion is raised by Honorable Ibrahim Halims, questioning the rationale, considering that a new government would be in place in a few weeks.
The House resolves to call on the federal government to suspend the ongoing process for the concession of the Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited and the National Iron Ore Mining Company for proper stakeholder consultations.
His motion is adopted as the House also resolves to invite the Minister of Mines and Steel for a detailed explanation. Similarly, an urgent motion to stop the planned disbursement of $700 million cabotage vessel finance fund and investigate the total accrual of the fund, and another on the need for the Niger Delta Development Commission to complete abandoned hospitals and roads projects are also considered and adopted.
Since the establishment of the Cabotage Vessel Finance Fund in the year 2003, there is no record of any Nigerian citizen or company who have officially benefited from the fund as stated in the Act.
Aware that in 2004, the NDDC awarded contracts for the construction of 2 24-bed space standard comprehensive health center, one at Ikorodosium community and the other at Ikorodom Bank community. Worried that despite the contract review, the projects are yet to be completed and put into use due to the non-release of funds by the NDDC.
Meanwhile, with 3 days to the sentencing of Senator Ike Ekweremadu in the United Kingdom, after he was convicted along with his wife for organ harvesting, the deputy minority leader in a broken voice urges the House to appeal to the government of the United Kingdom to temper justice with mercy.
My honorable colleagues, break the full weight of this parliament, formally, informally, and ask the British government to remember, and the Justice Department to remember the long-term relations we've had with them.
I'm going to use the opportunity to speak directly to the Crown and the British courts and judicial system, not in a bid to absolve former Senate President for any offenses he may have committed, but to plead for clemency.
Former Deputy President of the Nigerian Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, his wife and a doctor were convicted of organ trafficking by the Old Bailey Court in London, United Kingdom on the 23rd of March 2023, which scheduled their sentencing for the 5th of May 2023. It is not clear what diplomatic channels have been explored by the Nigerian Parliament, but the House of Representatives appeals that consideration be made for the sake of their daughter, who is sick and in dire need of care from her parents. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And it's not just the Nigerian lawmakers that are making the case for the former Deputy Senate President. The Speaker of the Economic Community of West African States Parliament, CDA Tunis, is also pleading with courts to show mercy to Senator Ekweremadu and his wife, Mrs. Beatrice Ekweremadu. Now, in a letter addressed to the Chief Clerk of the Central Criminal Court, Old Bailey, in London, Mr. Tunis says Senator Ekweremadu made immeasurable contributions to the ECOWAS Parliament while he was the Speaker of the Third Legislature. According to him, quote, "At this juncture, I wish to add that I totally stand against the crime for which the senator and his spouse have been convicted. The Community Parliament also stands against it." He, however, described Senator Ekweremadu as a major asset to the ECOWAS region, adding that his long absence owing to his circumstance since June 2022 has denied the body his invaluable service. He said the ECOWAS Parliament understands the position of the law, but is only appealing that the court puts on a human face in this circumstance and temper justice with mercy, especially considering his good behavior and contributions to the good of the society, the less privileged, and democracy. Earlier today, 18 out of 24 Abia lawmakers purportedly gathered at a location outside the House of Assembly complex and then impeached the Speaker, Right Honourable Chinedum Orji. The lawmakers accused him of gross misconduct and high-handedness. But then later in the day, right inside the House of Assembly, some lawmakers, including the Speaker, convened an emergency plenary session and then reviewed the actions of the 18 lawmakers, moving the motion suspending the Deputy Speaker and 8 others over the purported impeachment.
That video that you saw, does it have any resemblance to this place you are now?
No, sir.
Was it conducted here?
No, sir.
Was a purported misguided action by some renegades in the House of Assembly, sponsored by some overzealous aides, all in the name of showing some weak points and all that. So the House of Assembly is properly constituted here. The former Deputy Speaker is suspended and removed from office, and we have a new Deputy Speaker here. The Majority Leader of the House is here, and we have formed our quorum and we have done the business of the day.
From happenings in the Abia House of Assembly over to the Red Chamber, which has mandated its Committee on the Interior to investigate the circumstances causing the delay in the issuance and renewal of Nigerian passports by the Nigerian Immigration Service. The Upper Chamber has also directed the Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, to halt the planned demolition of the Aviation Agency's headquarters and offices in Lagos, pending the outcome of the intervention of the Senate Committee on Aviation. These are some of the decisions taken by the Senate during the resumption of plenary session on Tuesday, today. Our correspondent Linda Kigwe tells us more.
It's back to work for these federal legislators who have been away since April 5th for the Easter and Eid al-Fitr holidays. It's the twilight of the 9th Assembly, and the attention of some of these lawmakers who will be returning in the next Assembly is who will lead the Senate in the 10th Assembly and which committees will they be leading. As intense lobbying is ongoing behind the scenes, members are trying to wrap up some legislative matters and intervene in some challenges confronting Nigerians.
Non-availability of Nigerian...
A federal lawmaker presents before her colleagues the concern about the delay in the issuance of international passports by the Nigeria Immigration Service.
Many Nigerians are still facing long waits for passport processing, despite the 6 weeks timeline of processing a passport given by the federal government barely a year ago. Presently, new applicants and those who want their passport renewed spend between 3 to 6 months processing their international passport applications at the offices of the Nigerian Immigration Services and Nigerian embassies outside the country.
The Senate subsequently instructs its Committee on Interior to investigate the circumstances causing the delays in the issuance and renewal of Nigerian passports by the Nigeria Immigration Service. It also asks the Committee on Interior to probe the contract for the printing of passports by the Immigration Service. The Upper Chamber similarly wades into the brewing crisis in the aviation sector from the impending warning strike by aviation unions. Nearly 2 weeks ago, some unions in the aviation industry downed tools for 2 days over welfare issues, as well as the planned demolition of Lagos offices of aviation agencies. The unions, after the 2-day warning strike, vowed to shut down the industry in a week. The chairperson of the Aviation Committee is asking the Senate to intervene over the impending warning strike by unions.
The Senate notes that the strikes have become too many and too frequent to be let low, as issues in contention are no longer new. The Senate is convinced of the need to address the issues within this warning strike period, as the Committee on Aviation of the National Assembly is working to ensure amicable resolution of the issues under contention.
After considering the motion, the Senate is asking the Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, to halt the planned demolition of Aviation Agency's headquarters in Lagos, pending the outcome of intervention of a Senate Committee on Aviation. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, the Lagos State government arranged.
Good morning.
My life is a whole lot easier now, even when I'm working from home. I still get everything done.
Workout track.
And faster too. Guys, I'll make my decision and get back to you. I take my meetings uninterrupted. Video call Catherine.
Calling Catherine.
Checking with Bay. No cracks. Go, go, go! Behind you, behind you! And when it's time to bond with my friends across the globe, I connect seamlessly, all thanks to my Airtel router.
Delivery is here.
Thank you. Be like me. Stay connected always with the Airtel home broadband.
Who are you talking to?
It's nothing.
You're talking to me?
No.
Airtel, the smartphone network. Looking for a luxurious lifestyle with modern infrastructural facilities and serenity? Come to Sapphire Garden, located at Kilometer 39 Lekki-Ekpe Expressway, Lagos. Developed by POC Nigeria Limited, Sapphire Garden has different house types and service plots with 24 hours electricity supply. We completed and delivered on our promises for Phase 1. We are presently in our Phase 2 and still expanding to Phase 3. Strategically located for a greater return on investment. The time to invest is now. For more inquiries, contact Paul Osaji and Company on 0807-979-2000. Think comfort. Think Sapphire Garden. Sapphire Garden. Welcome back to nature.
You dey scatter body, but your face no dey show. I hear you now, Bella. Anywhere you enter, I know what you.
The Bureau of Public Enterprises will commence the verification exercise for the payment of the 16-month FGN severance benefits to the bona fide ex-staff of the defunct Power Holding Company of Nigeria, PCN, including certified next of kin. The exercise will run in 12 locations: Abuja, Kaduna, Jos, Kano, Yola, Enugu, Port Harcourt, Benin, Ibadan, Ikeja, Eko, and Maiduguri. If you were a former employee of PSCN or next of kin to an ex-staff who were in service between July 1st, 2012 and October 31st, 2013, please come along with relevant documents. For more information, please check Daily Trust, Sun, and Punch newspapers of Wednesday, April 26th and Friday, April 28th, 2023, and Wednesday, May 3rd and Friday, May 5th, 2023. For details, please check the BPE website, www.bpe.gov.ng. Announcer, Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE.
Recover with Astamin, a blend of amino acids and multivitamins.
Arraigned one of its bus rapid transit drivers, Oluwaseun Oshibanjo, on a 16-count charge of manslaughter following his collision with a moving train on March the 9th at the PWD railway crossing in Ikeja. 6 people were allegedly killed in that collision, and another 10 are said to still be suffering grievous body harm. The defendant, who was arraigned before Justice Oyindamola Ogala of the State High Court Ikeja, is facing 16 counts bordering on involuntary manslaughter and previous harm preferred against him by the state government. Now, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Dr. Babajide Martins, told the court that the BRT driver negligently killed the victims by ignoring warning signals and then ran into an oncoming train. He said the defendant also negligently inflicted grievous harm on 10 other passengers on the bus. Both offences are contrary to sections 224 and 245 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015. The defendant, however, pleaded not guilty to the charge, and following his plea, the defense counsel, Mr. Lekan Egberongbe, asked the courts to remand the defendant in police custody owing to health reasons. The prosecution, however, applied that the defendant be remanded in the correctional center, and if there was a need for him to get medical attention, the correctional service would provide same. The court subsequently adjourned the case till May the 26th for the commencement of trial. Let's now head to the nation's capital, and Gloria Umezuke is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Great to have you again, Gloria.
Thank you, Ayo. Here in Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari has stated that the federal government will continue to give support to the Nigerian armed forces to discharge their responsibilities effectively. He gave the assurance at the commissioning of the Giwa 2 project at the Mogadishu cantonment in Abuja, where he also urged the service chiefs to sustain momentum in the fight against insecurity in the country. Our defense correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
Decorated and manned by security men, the Giwa 2 project is ready for commissioning 2 years after its foundation was laid. President Muhammadu Buhari arrives the venue, flanked by security details. He is received by some members of his cabinet and security chiefs before going into the hall. The Giwa 2 project has security and economic benefits, which are highlighted by both the Chief of Defense Staff and the Governor of the Central Bank.
The software-defined segregation capability, in particular, could enable it to provide virtual private networks for all national security agencies, various state security outfits, and strategic national and multinational establishments.
We can gradually expect to see farmers return to their farms more as the military efforts yield tranquility to our nation.
For President Muhammadu Buhari, the project is in line with his administration's agenda of enhancing security in Nigeria, as it promises more support for the armed forces.
The federal government will continue to play its part in meeting the demands of the armed forces by evolving the necessary initiatives to enhance the position of our military as a force of global reckoning. I urge the Chief of Defense Staff, service chiefs, and all personnel of the armed forces to continue to work assiduously toward enhancing our national security.
Outside the hall, the President commissions the project. He goes into the building, but journalists are restricted from going in. And after some minutes, he comes out and takes his leave. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Mr. Issa Pantami, sheds more light on the project.
We have assigned 700 megahertz spectrum for security institutions to utilize for their communication. All these facilities you have seen today, they are on our 700 megahertz that we have assigned to them.
The Giwa 2 project is designed to ensure secure end-to-end real-time video and data sharing, real-time incident reporting, and high network resilience. The Nigerian military says this addition to its asset is a moral booster in its fight against terrorism and banditry in the country. From the Mogadishu cantonment in Abuja, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Staying with security in Kaduna State, the Atiap Community Development Association in Zango Kataf local government area is reporting that at least 518 persons have been killed in various attacks carried out on communities in the area in the last 5 years. The association is also accusing the military of not doing enough to stop the attacks. The national president of the association, Mr. Samuel Achi, stated this during a press conference at the Samaru Kataf in Zango Kataf local government area.
These are indigents of Atiab community in Zango Kataf local government area of Kaduna State. Men, women, young and old, clad in black attire while bearing placards. They are seeking God's intervention over the persistent attacks in their community. According to the people, at least 500 lives have been lost in the community in the last 5 years.
20 villages have been displaced. 18 villages burned down. Well, 518 people were killed in this carnage. Thousands of victims who have taken refuge across many communities from 2027 till date were forced to go back to their ancestral land, but still being under attack.
Last week, the military believed the attacks were triggered by the alleged poisoning of cows in the area.
On the 16th, when Bunju was attacked, I got a credible intelligence, actionable intelligence that the community would be attacked as at 8 p.m. That was when the intelligence came to me. So when the intelligence came, the attack was already on. I dispatched my men there. My men came under fire, but we were able to chart through the firing and was able to push the criminals out and neutralize some of them. In the event, we were able to kill the leader, or neutralize the leader of the gang that came to attack Bunji.
This position did not go down well with the people, and they want the military to be removed from the community. The people argue that the attacks have been on for the past 5 years and were unprovoked.
We are now calling that there is the urgent need to make a change of the leadership of the security personnel in our land. Let those that have compromised be evacuated, and those that have lived up to the responsibility be encouraged to do more.
The people are vowing to resist any further attacks while calling on the incoming Kaduna State administration to ensure inclusive governance and improve security in the area.
Practical steps are being taken by the Edo State government to enhance the ability of young women to advance in their chosen careers. Well, this and many other observations on women advancement came to the fore today during the launch of the Daisy Danjuma Women's Center, aimed at addressing challenges of human trafficking. The complex is to provide shelter for women who have been victims of human trafficking and other forms of abuses.
This is a ceremony to commission the Senator Daisy Danjuma Women's Center.
To His Excellency, Mr. Governor.
It's another milestone for the Edo State government in the fight against gender-based violence and other related forms of abuse. This center is set up to provide shelter for the affected women as they recuperate, rehabilitate returnees, and also provide capacity building at no cost. The wife of the Edo State Governor, Mrs. Betsy Obaseki, is the chairman of the state's Gender-Based Violence Committee. She maintains that this women's center will complement other infrastructure that are already in place to alleviate the plight of victims and also ensure justice is served.
Gender-Based Violence Committee have tried to put in place measures to ensure the safety and privacy of all women who seek refuge in this shelter. We have been operating for a few years at another venue, which we used to call the Vivian Center, but have now relocated to a brand new building here, housed in this big shelter.
Senator Daisy Danjuma is called up to the podium amid splendor. Beyond this recognition and honor, even with the Women's Center bearing her name, Senator Danjuma insists that more should be done to empower women in the society.
Please encourage women. We make a lot of impact in the society. If you notice all over the world, Countries that have progressed, even in Africa, they have women in key positions. Please note it. A country can never progress without women.
Gentlemen, shall we please rise for His Excellency, the People's Governor of those states?
Before commissioning the complex, which comprises a women development center, clinic, hostel, indoor and outdoor facilities, Governor Godwin Obaseki throws more insight into the Daisy Danjuma Women's Center.
The Senator Daisy Henry Danjuma Women's Center is a key part in the series of concrete steps and actions which we as a government are taking to salvage the future of our vulnerable persons, particularly women and youths, and providing them with an opportunity for redemption.
The Senator Daisy Danjuma Center is now open to women and children under the age of 3 who are accompanied by their adult mothers.
A former President Olusegun Obasanjo has advised political leaders in the country to do all in their power to ensure peace and security in order to have meaningful development in the country. Chief Obasanjo made the remark while commissioning the 23.4-kilometer Etinan-Eket Road in Akwa Ibom State.
The 23.4-kilometer Etinan-Eket Road connecting Nsidibom, Nsirubiom, Eket and Etinan local government areas is wearing a new look. A reason why the Akwa Ibom State government is hosting former President of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, who is here to inaugurate the project, and residents of the area turn out in their numbers to receive him and witness history.
Young students, young male youths.
Some prominent indigents of the area, including the governor-elect, commend Governor Domi Manuel for the project. Governor Manuel says the completion of the project is in line with his campaign promises to the people.
Today is such a special day. Special in the sense that we're also trying to show that we're highly focused. We're also trying to show that we are dedicated and committed to what we took an oath of office for. We're also trying to let the whole world know that when we said that we worked to the last day before we hand over the baton to the next governor, who will run a marathon race as if he's running a 100-meter race.
Describing Governor Emmanuel's performance as impressive, Chief Obasanjo advises political leaders in the country to ensure peace and security in order to have a meaningful development in the country, while frowning at political leaders with questionable character.
It is not my experience with one governor when I was President of Nigeria. He invited a former president to commission a project. He invited Vice President to commission the same project. And then he invited me to commission the same project. And it was when I was commissioning the project, people told me that you will be the third person to be invited to come and commission this project. Governor, you are not a governor like that. When you have peace, when you have security, when you have stability, you have the basics that you need for economic development and progress. And of the Son, amen, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Can we please put our hands together for His Excellency?
More projects executed by the Domi Manuel administration are expected to be inaugurated before the May 29th handover date.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo.
Many thanks, Gloria. The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, says the embassy in Egypt has successfully moved evacuees from the Sudanese side to the Egyptian side of the Arkil border. The commission further states that the students are now being prepared for their departure to Abuja through the Aswan airport. Air Peace and the Nigerian Air Force planes are waiting to convey the students to Abuja after necessary documentation. According to the Commission, priority was given to female students in orderly movement of the 449 students across the border. The chairman of the Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, says the first batch is expected to arrive in a couple of hours. She adds that the team at Abu Simbel will be evacuating the Wadi Halfa group tomorrow morning, and those at the Port Sudan border, which is the third group, will be evacuated last because they arrived today. One of Nigeria's oldest banks, Wema Bank, is celebrating its 76th anniversary, and it's also the 6th anniversary of Alat, a platform that allows one open an account and manage your money without ever going to a branch. The week-long event had an array of exhilarating activities and competitions for clients, employees, and the general public.
It's the anniversary week of Wema Bank, a financial institution renowned for its innovative banking solutions. The bank is also celebrating the 6th anniversary of Alat, an award-winning app which gives customers access to exclusive group and personal savings, a free debit card, lifestyle benefits, and up to 4% annual interest. The Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Wema Bank, Mr. Ademola Adebise, speaks on the highlight of the anniversary.
This is our 8th decade. As we push to our 9th decade, obviously there will be a much bigger celebration when we hit 80. But we will celebrate 78, we will celebrate 79, we'll celebrate 80, and hopefully in another 80 years, we pray and hope that Wema is alive. The biggest milestone so far is that we've brought the bank back to the very heights of banking in Nigeria. 6 years ago, we launched a groundbreaking product called Alat, and over the past 6 years, there's testament both locally and internationally that is a world-class product. So as far as we are concerned, it's brought us back to the forefront of banking in Nigeria.
Employees and clients create fun memories at the release of a cascade of Alat balloons into the sky. The bank says the balloon hunt for its customers is challenging them to locate balloons spelling out Wema and Alat in different locations and post photos on social media using hashtags such as hashtag #AlatAt6, hashtag Wema at 78, and hashtag Spot Alat in the air to stand a chance to win fantastic prizes. Another highlight of the celebration is the Sounds of Alat competition, which seeks to uncover talented musicians in the entertainment industry and provide them with a platform to showcase their creativity. The festivities will also encompass the launch of the upgraded Alat for Business, the digital bank application for a fully revamped Alat for Business platform to revolutionize the way business owners manage their business transactions.
Lafarge Africa PLC has declared a total dividend of 2 Naira gross per share for the 2022 financial year. The proposal represents a payout ratio of 60% on the profit after tax at 32.2 billion naira. This was declared by the leadership of the company during its 64th annual general meeting held at the Civic Centre in Lagos.
Of the company.
It's the 64th annual general meeting of Lafarge Africa PLC, and the company is pleased with the results of its improved report and accounts for the 2022 financial year. Despite challenging economic conditions, the company continues to deliver sustainable value to shareholders and stakeholders, which the chairman attributes to the resilience of their operations.
Where we were coming from in 2018 and where we are in 2022 are completely different worlds. For this, we are grateful to our shareholders for your patience, and largely this can only be attributable to the people who baked the cake.
A brief highlight of the company's financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2022 shows net sales increased by 27% to close at 373.2 billion naira. Operating profit improved to 84.2 billion naira. Profit after tax and earnings per share were also impressive, both with 5% increase from the previous year. Although the current financial year began with certain challenges, Lafarge Africa plc is hopeful for a better outlook for 2023.
We are very positive about 2023. I think with all the changes coming, we look for more better regulations, more better investment laws, and Lafarge Africa is very much committed to Nigeria economy, and we look forward for a great year in 2023 as well.
If you look at the last 5 years, we're coming from a debt position of a net debt position of about 256 billion. If you look at the balance sheet today, we have cash of surplus of 80 billion. So it's a lot of transformation in the company on the back of proper planning and proper execution.
A final dividend of 2 naira per share for 2022 financial year is also declared based on the company's performance.
Shareholders are supposed to receive 2 naira less 10% withholding tax. But because they are making that payment from Pioneer Status account, there is no deduction of that 10%. So what is supposed to come to the shareholders is 1 naira 80 kobo, and what is coming to them is 2 naira, which is actually 11% more than what they should ordinarily have gotten.
With a strong performance in 2022, Lafarge Africa plc promises to continue to pay attention to key drivers of its business and take proactive steps to manage the impact of the challenging business environment. Anne Mardo is standing by to give us the very latest in the world of business. Anne.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Hello and welcome to Business News. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the partial exclusion of the Ministry of Finance Incorporated from the Treasury Single Account, the TSA. The president, who gave the approval today at the first Governing Council meeting in Abuja, also granted the request of the board of MOFI to charge management and transaction fees, as well as include the Minister of Power in the Governing Council. President Buhari explains that the new MOFI was launched on February the 1st to transform it from the Registry of Investment Records to a world-class assets and investment management company. He also stressed that it must be supported to achieve strong returns on investment and contribute to the well-being of all Nigerians. The president of the African Development Bank, Mr. Akinwumi Adesina, says the financial institution is building a $25 billion desert-to-power project to order and harness the power of the sun and provide electricity to about 250 million Africans. The statement from the Development Bank states that he made this announcement speaking at the Calvin University graduation ceremony in Michigan, the United States. Mr. Adesina explains that the bank has so far connected about 20 million Africans with electricity. And one of Nigeria's leading financial institutions, Zenith Bank PLC, has declared growth in gross earnings of 24% from 765.5 billion naira in the year 2021 to 945.5 billion naira in 2022. Details of this and other results are contained in the group's annual report and the financial statements for 2022 presented to shareholders at the 32nd Annual General Meeting right here in Lagos. According to the founder and chairman of Zenith Bank, Mr. Jim Ovia, the company was able to leverage inherent opportunities within the business environment to record a performance that further attests its resilience as a brand.
A mixture of in-person and virtual attendees at the 32nd Annual General Meeting of Zenith Bank.
We have the pleasure of calling this meeting to order.
The bank's leadership, led by the chairman, meets with shareholders to deliberate the report and financial statements for 2022 as contained in a 248-page document. A look at the key indicators suggests that the group emerged stronger in the year under review compared to the previous year, but a slight drop in profit after tax.
The world is changing. Any bank that does not invest in technology will be left behind. And I have seen what you have done, and this is showing us that you are very proactive, and our business is not going to suffer.
Be resolved that a final dividend of 2 naira 90 kobo per share, making a gross dividend of 91,049,831,982 billion, hereby declared payable on pro rata basis to the shareholders.
Dividend declared, 2 naira 90 kobo per share to be distributed to shareholders, bringing the total dividend for the year to 3 naira 20 kobo.
We thank them because it's better than nothing. There's a bottom line for them to declare dividend.
Zenith Bank Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer comments on the 2022 results, the outlook for 2023, and how the bank is preparing for economic uncertainties.
There are so many whistles and bells going off globally. So we are taking a look at them and asking what does it mean, and identifying our key risk events and making sure that we align our risk appetite statement to deal with those risks. So where we see an elevation, we look at the risk appetite statement and moderate it.
Within 32 years of its existence, Zenith Bank says it has demonstrated resilience irrespective of the business cycle and witnessed growth in virtually all areas. It was recently named the Bank of the Year by The Banker, Financial Times of London.
And that's the sound of a closing gong at the Nigerian Exchange Limited to signify the end of trading activities. This time, it's more symbolic and it marks a new beginning for stockbrokers as the local bourse commemorates its return to full physical trading activity on the floor of the exchange after 3 years since it was closed in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. But before now, the market was operating remote trading of equities by brokers, and while the floor of the exchange was reopened for the first time since the start of the pandemic on November the 7th, 2022. It also marked the 30th anniversary of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. And talking about the exchange, let's get back there to see how the trading week went today. It was negative territory. Investors' sell-off in Geregu pulled back the market today. Willie Bong has the details.
Welcome to the Stock Market Report. After 1 day of holiday to celebrate Workers' Day, the NGX appears to still be sleeping as profit takers went to work. Investors really slept on this one as the all-share index dipped today by 0.2%, but still above the 51K level, and that's the crucial part. Activity was a mix of red and green, but Access Holdings drove a huge chunk of the volume recorded today. Now, the market did get a huge surprise from Union Bank. The stock price surged 10% to close at 7 naira 70 kobo from its open of 7 naira. Meanwhile, Geregu took a detour in the market today and headed downhill by a massive 10%, shedding 32 naira 30 kobo off its share price. Now, with the NGX ending hybrid trading and resuming full trading on the floor of the exchange, can we say investors gave them a warm red carpet reception? And that's the Stock Market Report. And Will Ibang is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Will. Let's see the numbers of other major markets around the world and how they fared at the close of trade today. And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The rest of News at 10 continues now with Ayotunde.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. The London police say a controlled explosion was held and a man was arrested outside Buckingham Palace after throwing suspected shotgun cartridges into palace grounds. cordon was put in place after the man was detained on Tuesday evening after approaching the gates of the palace. He was arrested on suspicion of possessing an offensive weapon. But there are no reports of shots fired or injuries to officers or even the public. We'll hear Simon Pusey with more on other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The UN says more than 100,000 people have fled Sudan since heavy fighting broke out between rival forces on the 15th of April. Officials have warned of an all-out catastrophe if fighting does not end. A further 334,000 people have been displaced within Sudan. Fighting is continuing in the capital Khartoum between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces, despite a ceasefire due to be in force.
In consultation with all concerned governments and partners, we've arrived at a planning figure of 815,000 people that may flee into the 7 neighboring countries.
Meanwhile, a World Food Programme official has warned the continuing conflict in Sudan could destabilize the whole region of northeast Africa.
For WFP, our biggest concern right now is actually that if the conflict in Sudan doesn't stop soon, the ripple effect across the region is significant. We are already seeing at least 20,000 refugees that have crossed into Chad. Our colleagues in South Sudan are saying a similar number, if not more, is crossing into South Sudan. We are thinking about refugees who are in Sudan going back to their home countries that are not as stable as they should be when they are going back. So the ripple effect for the region is significant. It's a real concern, and we just need to find peace. We need the two parties to the conflict to come together and find a way to resolve the conflict, because this has the possibility of destabilizing the whole region.
The US says it estimates that more than 20,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in fighting in Ukraine since December. A further 80,000 have been wounded, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said, citing newly declassified intelligence. Half of the dead are from the Wagner mercenary company, who have been attacking the eastern Bakhmut city. Russia has been trying to take the small city since last year in a grinding war of attrition. Lawyers for bereaved family members, survivors and residents of the Grenfell Tower fire have been outlining details of a civil damages claim settlement. At the High Court, barrister Richard Hermer KC said a compensation sum of around £150 million had been awarded across 900 cases. The devastating fire at the West London building killed 72 people in June 2017. Court listings indicate the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea was one of a number of defendants. Officials have rescued 21 endangered green sea turtles after they were seized from a poacher by Bali police. Authorities raided a 46-year-old's home after receiving multiple reports from locals on the suspected illegal trade of turtle meat for consumption. Bali police said a mix of small and large turtles were found in a maintenance pool. The man could face a 5-year jail sentence and a 100 million rupiah fine. With just 4 days to go, Britain's Princess Anne has said that her brother King Charles was committed to the monarchy after years of practice. In a video interview with the Canadian news programme The National, the daughter of late Queen Elizabeth II discussed the kind of monarch the king will be.
And when we think about this duty, this role that the king has taken on, what kind of king do you think he'll be?
Well, you know what you're getting, because he's been practicing for a bit. And I don't think he'll change. You know, he is committed to his own level of service, and that will remain true.
And the principal of a school in West Virginia in the United States got the fright of his life when opening a rubbish bin outside the school. CCTV footage uploaded on social media shows James Marsh, the headmaster of the Zila Elementary School in Somersville, opening the bin before a young black bear leaps out. Both man and bear seemed equally as scared of each other. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. Let's talk sports now. The Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says the 2023 Women's World Cup is projected to generate $220 billion, presenting a significant opportunity to connect African cotton producers to the football value chain and promoting women's economic empowerment. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala made this known at the Making Trades Call for Women, a series of panel discussions jointly organized by the WTO and FIFA at its headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. Let's turn our attention now to the English Premier League, and Martin Odegaard has fired Arsenal back to the top of the Premier League as the Norway midfielders double inspired a 3-1 win against woeful Chelsea earlier this evening. Mikel Arteta's side lost control of the title race after last week's 4-1 defeat at Manchester City, but the Gunners signaled their intentions to push Manchester City all the way to the wire with a much-needed first win in 5 games. We'll see how things play out in these remaining games. Let's turn our attention away from football. World number 2, Carlos Alcaraz breezed past Alexander Zverev 6-1, 6-2 to reach the Madrid Open quarterfinals earlier today. The top-seeded Spaniard, who also beat Zverev in last season's Madrid final, gained revenge for the German's triumph when they met later in the 2022 French Open quarterfinals. The two-time Madrid winner Zverev was blown away in the opening set. He improved a little in the second, but not sufficiently to trouble Alcaraz, who moved his opponent around at will. And that's Sports News Tonight. Thanks again for watching. I am Kelly Egiga. It's back to Ayo for the rest of the news.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And the main news again. Police authorities today confirmed the arrest of suspended Adamawa State Rec Hudu Yunusa Ari earlier in the day. And Mr. Yunusa Ari had told the BBC Hausa service that he does not regret for announcing Aisha Binani as winner of the Adamawa State governorship poll. And the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, says the first set of Nigerian students from Sudan is expected to arrive in a couple of hours. According to the NIDCOM chairman, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, the Nigerian embassy in Egypt has successfully moved evacuees from the Sudanese side to the Egyptian side of the Arkeel border. That's the news at 10 tonight.
Welcome to Political Paradigm, where the conversation is strictly politics. I'm Terry Ikumi. Today, my guest is the Executive Governor of Cross River State, Professor Ben Ayade. The conversation begins with him responding to questions on how the Labour Party performed in the general elections, especially the presidential election in his state, where the Labour Party defeated the All Progressives Congress.
If you look at the distribution analysis in the areas and local governments where they won, and you will see that where you have a traditionally cross-riverian setting, the victory is different, the pattern is different. So if you plot a graph showing the relationship between stranger elements, residents, and indigents, you will definitely see clearly that in the hinterlands where you have traditionally only cross-riverians, the result is completely different.